Welcome to the School Growth Series episode 20. It's been 20th episode, almost like in the past 6 months, we've been doing School Growth series with variety of topics, starting from AI, starting from how to uh, empower the teachers, how to build the school for the next generation, and a lot of various topics. We've been having a lot of guests inside, and also a lot of schools have been joining us for a very long time, for the past 6 months. And now the community, the IE School principals have is now over 400 people joining every Saturday. And all these school principals are from different uh, states of Tamil Nadu, sorry, different states of India. Uh, Almost like 120 cities and 4 countries. So everyone are in a role of transforming their school. Not only transforming the school, they have a great responsibility of transforming the life of over hundreds of children. And looking deeper, when this hundreds of children transform, the family transform, and the entire nation transform. So that's how we feel whenever we host this kind of school growth series. We are not just transforming the life of a school principal or the school, but also the transforming the life of the nation. So here with us, Fabio, my dear friend and my mentor, uh, coming, not saying no for whatever we ask for. So he's been here for like I think fifth episode. Uh, so about a little bit about Fabio. I met Fabio in a walk near the banks of river Narmada. Uh, so my when I in my journey like 10 years of working with over 200 plus schools, I had a point of a question whether I should continue this journey or I should switch for something else. When I went to my mentor, he asked me uh, if you really wanted to make a shift, you have to go and attend this program. So this program happens once in every year in the banks of River Narmada. So two people from Italy come to India and take people for a walk. That's where I met Fabio. And while walking with him, I was talking about uh, what I do and where I am in right now. And one thing he asked, which really transformed everything and how I run my organization, my team, everything. And I was asking this question of Fabio, between 10 years, we work with a lot of schools, empowering schools to launch hands-on learning. Uh, I don't know if this is the next thing I want to do. I feel I have another thing in mind. And he said, why why are you saying this or this? Why not this and that? Like both. So that made a huge difference, and I've been implementing a lot of new things in my um, organization. And when we started working with a lot of school owners, school principals, as a part of Infinite Engineers IE School, we saw how the school owners are, how the principals are. That's how their school are. That's when they realized how, as a founder of my organization, when I transformed, my entire organization transformed. I feel this is very much needed for all the school principals and leaders out there. So that's when we realized, okay, we have to do this, and we have to bring Fabio and a couple of topics, which for sure we know he can make a huge difference in people's life. So every Saturday, this episode is going live. People come, and also this has been recorded and it's been sent to a lot of school principals in India and across the globe. So here, Fabio with us on this topic: how to become a unique school. Welcome, Fabio.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here. Uh, I always love joining this conversation because the ripple effect of um, school leaders is, as you were saying, is beyond imagination. It's not just the people they work with, the teacher, the students, it's their family and the people that family work with and so on. So the potential of impact is remarkable. And with all, with everything, when you have such a power comes also the responsibility to use it to truly make a difference. So it's always a pleasure, and I'm so grateful to have these opportunities.
So
And
so
it's an
much.
important topic, being unique is something I've been fascinated for a while now. Um, because in the language of marketing, everyone want to be different. Um, and to me, this is something is fascinating because different is a relative term. You are different from someone, from something. But so there's all this effort to look different, present yourself in a different way, and we kind of forget that we are born unique. Um, we don't have to do anything to be unique, and that for me is magic. So when we talk about uniqueness, or as you were saying, making school unique, it's more like a word of realizing and acknowledging that we are unique and really build anything new. So I love the subject, and thank you for having me here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Fabio. So this subject, the topic, the reason why we took this topic is because we've been personally working with a lot of schools across India. When we personally we have stayed with a lot of school owners with them in their school and worked with them for a few days, and understanding that there was one common question everyone have: how can I stay different? And there are a lot of competitions out there in a particular area. Let's say, for example, in India, for every 10 to 15 kilometers, there is at least 3 to 4 schools. And this is the biggest question. They are kind of fighting for the competition. How can we show us different? And as a result, a lot of schools are doing a lot of marketing, competition, other things are there. But on a foundation level, I personally feel we are uh, we are just looking that outside. We're trying to fix something to show us unique. Uh, so what do you think? What do you think? How can a school, uh, the school principals, the owners can stand out from this noisy crowd?
Oh, I think the starting point for me of everything um, is being aware. You know, I often say that better awareness lead to better choices lead to better action, and better action leads to better results. I think it was Robin Sharma who said that, and I always love this sequence. So the starting point for me is better awareness. And when it comes to stand out, the starting point is to know your uniqueness, really uncover or discover or realize what makes you unique. And you said it beautifully, that the uniqueness of the school is the combination is more than the combination of the uniqueness of all the people that make that school, starting from who's leading the school. Because as human beings, we are born unique. Our DNA is 99.9 the same, but there's zero point 0.1 that make us, all of us, unique. Our fingerprint are mostly unique. Our eyes are unique. I mean, we are unique at the biology level, but then there's our stories, our background, the way we live, our vision, the things we want to do, talents, passion. All these things create a unique human being. And now when you put all these unique human beings together, you have something unique. So every school is unique. Thing is, how aware are we of what makes us unique? Because if we don't know what makes us unique, we are not able to share that with others, to tell what makes us unique with powerful words. So I think the starting point is truly to understand what makes us unique. And probably if I was a school leader, I would start from understanding what makes me unique, because as a leader of the school, I'm also the model for everyone else. So I would start from understanding what makes me unique, and how is this uniqueness that I bring into this school is informing and inspiring the old school to become a unique um, entity within the community, within the larger community. Um, so that would be my starting point. Um, Finding out what makes me unique.
How can one find out? Because
That's a
in
very
terms of,
good
yeah,
that's a very
so
good
it's a
question.
big question, and honestly, a lot of school principals don't have time. They think they don't have time. That's also a perspective. Uh,
That's a very
how
good
does a big way?
question. First of all, I think that's the one important thing to why are we talking so much about uniqueness and being unique? You also know why you exist, because it's in your uniqueness is the essence of the gift you bring to the world. That means that being unique is at the same time, how can I say, it's a gift, but it's also a responsibility. So we are called to understand what makes us unique, because that's how we bring this gift to the world. So I love to see this inquiry about uniqueness, really about understanding what is the gift, the unique gift that we are, each one of us is bringing into the world. And to answer to your question, what makes us unique? I mean, in my experience working with people, working with organizations, I found out that typically uniqueness is made of few elements. It's like a symphony of a few elements that if you put all of that together, you have a unique picture. And let me share maybe an image that may help. I don't know if you can see my screen. So uniqueness is a combination of all these factors. It's the story. It's your story. Where do you come from? What led you here? And everyone has a unique story. There may be point in common with other stories, but most of us has a unique story. So what is your story? What brought you here? And on the other side of the spectrum, that's your vision. So that's your past on one side and your future on the other side. Where are you going? What is your vision for the future, for your future, the kind of contribution you want to make? Between these two extremes, you build a sort of a backbone um, that define your identity, on which on the middle you have your values, your talents, your passion, the things that really um, spark your energy, and then obviously you have your brand, that is how your story creates your present. So how is your story influencing who you are today, but also your strategy, how you're going to do things. So all these elements, if we take the time to explore each of these elements and understand where I'm coming from, where I'm going, what are my passion, my talents, my values, things that define who I am today, and how all these things are connected together. When you start having clarity about all these elements, then you also have clarity about what makes you unique. And this works for an individual as much as for an organization or a school, for example. The elements are exactly the same. Obviously, the questions may be different. Uh, But it's important we start from, in particular with leadership, it's important that we start from the leaders, because in particular when it comes to the vision, that vision is going to influence and inspire the vision of the whole organization or the school in this case. So how do we find our vision? By exploring these elements and asking and finding an answer to these questions. And that's the yeah the journey we love to do, helping all these leaders asking
Yeah.
those questions. There's an order that makes, if you want, easier the process. So I will always start from the story. These are the things we know better. But do we truly know what makes our story unique? Do we ever take the time to ask ourselves, where are we coming from? What is the story in
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
But that
Yes,
would
Fabio.
help you.
I think just while listening to you, I think there are two different ways. One is uh, one way to make a school unique is to add new facilities, add new programs, add new infrastructure, and make it unique that way. I think that is also needed. Another way, uh, sharing the purpose, like through vision, and designing the entire school in that direction, towards that bigger direction. I think most schools, personally for the people who work here, my family is running a school, and it's been 30 years. Looking at that angle, uh, the growing along with my school, so we're always in the state of we only wanted to question our school during the time of admissions. The last thing, the beginning of the academic year, 3 months before the academic year, we want to do a lot of promotion marketing and do a lot of initiatives. We focus only on the short term goal, but we miss to focus on the long term. That is, uh, this is a natural way understanding what is it to why we started first of all, and standing that to the core. I think this having both will having both is very, very important. I guess, like whatever you said. Uh,
Um,
that's a one lot of people are missing.
I,
That's the reason we are getting in the direction of fighting with other schools or
but
some people.
that's a very good point you're making. That's the difference between being unique and being different. I mean, it's important to add to add services, to add facilities, to propose new things, to keep up with the evolution of the world. There are new topics that need to be taught. There are new technology comes in on the play, comes out, and all those things need to get into to be offered to the student. But when we know who we are as a school, when we know our story, our vision, as you were saying, we have a long-term vision, then we can put all these things, we can align all these things with the vision that we have. And that amplify the power of these tools. Like there's been a lot of conversation around artificial intelligence. There's two ways in which you can integrate artificial intelligence. You can just say, "Oh yeah, everyone is talking about it. Let me add this to my offering, and that's it." Or you can say, because the vision of my school is to go in that direction, AI is going to help my students in this journey that I have in mind, and it perfectly fit the picture. Then you have a unique proposal. You're not just adding things, hoping that will capture
Yeah,
capture the attention. Um, so that's why I call it a backbone. It's like having a line that is setting a unique direction, and then I can add all. I mean
yeah,
the new technologies, facilities, but they all make sense,
yeah,
and they amplify each other.
yeah. It may look listening also in a place of a management trustee, it may look like I still don't get an answer because the answer is always within us, right? So the whatever direction you are saying, you're asking us to go deeper on the questions, and that is because no one can't. It's very difficult for someone to be like me or be like you. Uh, but
Agree?
if I wear a new shirt or if I get a new car, anyone can get something better than that. If I'm competing on that angle with my school, it's very easy to get outdated very soon. So
Indeed, indeed. I mean, um, in the world, there's 8 billion people, and there are people who are better than me in almost everything that I do. And the thing is, I'm the only one who's me. So the more I can understand what makes me me, the more I can stand out and have my own voice. I think that is the same for every school. You can add. I mean, everyone can add things. Everyone can have a specific topic or facility, but the uniqueness of that school that cannot be replicated, cannot be copied, cannot be. So the more we are able to communicate that in words and in the things we do, the more we create a connection with families, with the community, um, because they can resonate with that things that makes us unique. And the more we help the students become
yeah.
unique and the teacher find what makes them unique, the way they teach, the way they are. Indeed.
Mm. Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, it's I think the challenge that I see is that trying to be different or trying to play with the competition, it's a bit easier because you look what everyone else is doing and you try, to go in a different direction or do the same thing. So you play on the same field.
Mm.
Um, Being unique, it's a bit more challenging because it's required, as you were saying, to ask some questions, to look inward, to look at our story or ask ourselves what is the vision that we have.
Yeah.
Think long term, and it doesn't mean not to think short
Yeah.
term. We need to find a way of looking, thinking long term and short term at the same time. It's like walking.
Yeah.
You can walk and look at your feet,
Yeah.
but you don't know where you're going. You may not, stumble, but you don't know where you're going. Or you can walk and always look in the distance. You know where you're going, but there's always the risk of, stumble on an obstacles. So it's something we learn growing up to look forward and also pay attention to where we are putting our feet. It's a bit the same thing. So we can learn that.
Okay. So the question for me is anyway. We are happy that we are also going to launch a program for school principals on 19th August. A lot of school principals are going to participate on a 5-day program where they will explore deeper into their own vision, renew clarity on their vision. So we'll talk more about that later in this episode. So before uh, on this deeper question, so to become unique, understand what is actually unique inside. In that way, will that if imagine if I find my uniqueness. Example, my uniqueness is basically uh, being a problem solver or words has power. I don't know what words to use. Probably responsibility so also one of my uniqueness of community building is also my uniqueness. um, in that way I should not uh, if you want to build this my school on this lines, I should not push my teachers or the students also in the same lines, right? So
It's
uh,
not. I don't think it's about pushing. It's a good question. It's about helping. It's two thing is aligning around a vision because that's important. Because people will resonate with the vision, that we jump on board of a clear vision, but and then become a model of finding uniqueness. So everyone
okay.
will feel called to understand what makes us unique. Now, what makes me unique as a teacher, or what makes me unique as a student, and now I can use that to become an even better teacher, an even better student.
Mm.
Um, so it's more setting an example
Yeah, so true.
than forcing anyone to
So
be like us.
yeah, now that I could resonate, I mean, I could remember some references like how Nelson Mandela shared a bigger vision, the one dream, like how Gandhi shared that one big dream. So likewise, every school leader should have the dream, or at least probably if they have missed to remember that, they should inculcate again, or even go back to understand why. When they share, for sure the entire the, the, the teachers, principals will come together. Uh, so true.
They had a dream, the people you're talking, and a lot of people I meet, leaders, they have dreams, um, but also their action is aligned with that dream. Otherwise,
Mm.
it's just, I mean, a lot of people have dreams. The point is not having dreams, is having a dreams that combine with your story and your values, create an alignment that makes your dreams reality. So that's it. It's fundamental. So it's not just about having a beautiful vision. It's also,
Also,
okay, how does this vision translate into my daily action, the way I am? So when we talk about these kind of things, it's always important that for things not to just become a nice line that I can write somewhere. It must reflect in the action I do.
so true. So
Um, I feel too often when I hear people talking about vision or dreams, they focus on the words that we use, on the sentence, on writing something that can really, you can put on a wall and looks good.
yeah,
But the true vision is the one you act upon, is the one that drive your action. And you may not have the perfect word to put it out there to make it a compelling marketing tool, but it's your action that speak louder than your words. Um, so all these people you share, they have a vision, yes, they have a dream, but they live by the dream.
so true. So how to all the school principals over here, how many of you agree to this? Just type agree in the chat. The vision or dream should also align with our daily actions. Wonderful, Fabio. Uh, yeah. So another challenge here, Fabio. A lot of school principals and owners have this difficulty. They have a big vision and dream too. It's finding very hard to bring the teachers together to drive towards that. Even not schools. This is the same across all the organization, irrespective of schools or companies. The same. The founder or the leader will have the bigger vision. The first set of members, when the school would have started or when the company would have started, will have that uh, will be driven, vision driven. And on the journey, when the gets bigger, or at least when the entire organization crosses a certain age, probably 7 years or more, they slowly forget, I think, and there is a stumbleness on bringing everyone together again. What do you think about that?
Um, I have experience with the companies, organization. I see these things happening over and over. Um, at the very beginning, the vision is embodied in the founders. So they are the living, they are the walking around vision. So it's easy for everyone to have a clear connection with the vision, with the dream behind the organization. Then when they start growing, and two things happen. The first is that distance becomes bigger. So they start, maybe they don't have that daily, connection with the founder or things like that. And the second one is that things happen, and you have to make choices about the direction. So there I always heard that what makes a difference is to um, do the exercise to make the dream, the vision, that what makes that company unique, and to fix that on a manifesto, on something in which that's clear. This is our vision. This is our values. But also having the courage to look at that and make it alive every year. So why that? Because we come across. I can share like one experience I had in a company I was working. We had the beautiful values, I remember, and the value was to do only beautiful things. So it was a design company, so obviously the beauty was one of the driver of the company. And a few moments, so I remember when we were talking about that, and the whole leadership group was clear about we're only going to do project where beauty is a fundamental driver. And then 3 months later came through this project. There was a lot of money involved and no beauty at all. And the leadership team decided to go for it. And we were like, so what is our value? If the moment as the opportunity, we chase the opportunity, we forget the value we stand for. And there's no right or wrong. It's about that anytime we are not coherent with our values, with our vision, that thing is perceived. So, if I'm a leader, for a leader of a school, of an organization, it's important to state, to make it, to create a manifesto of the vision of the school, the values of the school. But it's also important with all the members, maybe the teachers, the employee, to take the time to check, okay, what does these things mean? And how true are they still? Are we truly living by these values? Because if it's not, then it's better to take a deep look at those values and maybe update them. Because what truly matters is the values and the vision that we live, that we act upon every day, not the things that we write on the wall. So when if as a leader, if you're struggling to get your team on board, maybe it's because they feel like they may don't know the manifesto, so they may struggle to know the vision or know the values, or they may struggle to connect what they see, what they've been told, to the daily life and things that are happening. So in that case, it's good to get everyone together now. Are these values still true? Do you feel that how we are doing things according to these values?
And even in our organization, particularly in schools, or even I think it's similar for all the organizations. Uh, we can find a bunch of people who are very value driven, vision driven, dream driven. But some people are very functional. They want to know what I want to do. In that case, what do you think?
We are unique. Uh,
Yeah.
it's about building a bridge, with everyone. As a leader, we have the responsibility to connect with everyone, and it's about building the bridge. Um, but you can build a bridge if you have, if you want to build a bridge to go from one side of the river or the other side of the river, you need to know very well the two sides that need to be strong enough to hold the bridge. So if you know where you want to go as a leader, you have clarity about who you are and about the uniqueness of the school, then you can build a different bridge using different words, different way of connecting with everyone. So you may have, you were talking about teachers, but you may have even families who come
Mm.
here, and they have families that probably are looking for the vision that you have at school, and other that focus only on the practical stuff, like what time do you start, because it has to be to work with my schedule. So, but you can have this conversation from a place of clarity when you know what you stand for and who you are.
Mm.
Otherwise, you go maybe your answers are going to adapt to the person you have in front of you.
Mm. So true, so true. And I mean, even when we see an army of a kingdom, every troops are different, but they have the one common goal.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
the
absolutely. I can share a real story of a school I work with, a small school, very small school, and we did a survey with all the parents of the students because the school was struggling. I mean, the teaching team, they were struggling to work well. They felt a lot of pressure from the families. And we did a survey, and what came up was that every one of the teachers of the leadership team were presenting they were presenting the school in different ways. So what ended up happening is that every family had they felt they were going to like almost a different school, because they. So what we did, we took the leadership team together, and we had them define what are the common things that we have, what are the pillars
Mm.
of the school. So every one of them then have different ways of sharing what the school was, what was the principles, but they were sharing the same things using different words and different ways, but they were sharing the same thing. And the pressure was coming because obviously some family were talking with one of the leaders, and he shared something about the school, and then when they were talking with the teacher, the experience was completely different, and they were receiving a different message, so they didn't know what was the school about, and
Mm.
that was creating a lot of tensions and pressure on the teachers because they didn't know what to do. So clarity in that sense, having a unified message, clarity helps a lot in then having connecting in different ways with different people because they have different needs, but starting from the same place.
Okay. Now, what if the school is so big right now? It's been few years and the school is beginning of the school having a vision, setting up fresh. It's great. It's changing that or even rethinking and maybe reinforcing to everyone in the middle of the growth. Probably it's 5 year old, 10 year old school, or 15, 20 year old school. What do you think is the best way to do?
Um, First of all, there's no for I mean, vision and values are not forever. I truly believe that everything in life is a never-ending prototype. I live my life as a never-ending prototype. So I define my values, I have my vision, but I'm also willing to constantly evolve that vision because I change, I evolve. So my
Mm.
visions evolve with me, my values evolve with me. So I appreciate what you're saying, that even if at any point of the growth of the school, it's important to take the time, probably even every year, to ask ourselves, okay, does these words that we use or these values that we share still reflect who we are?
Mm.
Because we are growing. And probably the best way to do that is not even so, is to get everyone together, maybe once a year,
Yeah.
and just say, okay, let's take the vision that we have, this beautiful manifesto we have on the wall, and ask ourselves, is it is it still meaningful? Do we recognize ourselves in these words? Yeah, but and if do we have examples in which we have lived by these values? And someone say, yeah, but I have an example where we didn't live by that. Okay, what happened? And it's a constant, it's like science in the end. We defined a theory, and we put that into a manifesto, and then we experiment every day with that to understand if it is that true or not. And we observe ourselves, and 6 months, 1 year later, we sit down and say, okay, what our experiment are telling us? Is that still our manifesto? Do we have to adjust the word? Um, I love to think that really everything is a prototype. So it's important once a year to check our manifesto, our vision and values, and ask ourselves, are we still living by that? Or do we need to update them? Do we need to add another one? Or change the wording? And that
Yeah.
I would do every year. Probably every year I would take half a day with all the team and sit down and really ask, okay, is it still meaningful?
So, in my organization, I still remember in the walk, the program with you, the we did the manifesto for ourselves, our vision. And later, after the program, and I went back to my team and saw my team was started in 2013, and last year it was our 10th year anniversary. And we felt okay, this is the right time to have our manifesto. That is a vision for new vision for our organization. And while having that, we came up with the five different values. And one thing which I like about this five values is, uh, I think someone said, I think one of our mentors said, if you want to give a feedback to your team, refer these values. Give feedback with these values. Are we living these values? And I'm just going to share quickly about what are the five things which we did, and this is what happened. Uh, so, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So we came with this five values: one for all for one, living higher purpose, clarity of life's mission, prosperity and abundance, and work-life balance. Is after defining our vision statement, we came up with this. It's a team activity. We came up with our thing, and we have a huge wall. I hope you saw that in our office. Almost once in every 2 weeks, uh, whenever we miss to live our value, at least one of our team member calls out and says, this is something we didn't do. We left this team member. Are we living our first value, which is all for one, one for all? So, so the entire team looks felt like in the first beginning years, the founding team was pushing the entire organization on purpose, dream, and value. But once the entire team was involved in curating these values, and they are holding accountable whenever something goes wrong. So I agree. Like even it's possible to uh, even if you are pretty old school, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I think you can together build a bigger vision with all the stakeholders. And
Indeed, a beautiful thing you did with your team. You not just defined values because you know one for all for one can mean any different things for different people, but you also took the time to define, okay, what does it mean for us? How do we live these values? Because that gives clarity to everyone. I see like a lot of companies, they use nice words for the values, but it's important to define what does it mean for us, and that's something you can define with the team, and also evaluate every now and then with the team, because the value is the same. It's just the way we live it
Yeah.
may evolve, no? So we can sit down and say, okay, yeah, well, what does it mean for us to live, to be one for all and all for one? How does it reflect on the work, on the way we do things? Doing that, that's part of what makes you unique. That sets of values, the vision that you have, the stories that you have, you were sharing before, your 10 years, your story, your personal story, all these things create um, a uniqueness that is that has your company, and that uniqueness is what resonates in the end with other people, because the other company do is probably the things you do, but they're
Mm.
not IE Skool.
Yeah. Wonderful. So, is there anything else you want to share on this topic, Fabio?
No, I mean the it's just really a reminder that it's easy. That for
Mm.
me is the I think the biggest revelation for me when I was also working on the pilgrimage is that it's easy. We put so much effort in trying to be different, to be unique, and we are born with it. So
Yeah.
it's easy. It doesn't mean, or maybe if you want, it's not easy. It's simple. It's just
Mm.
about, okay, oh, wait a moment. What makes me unique? What is my story? Where do I come from? What are my values and the things that I'm passionate about? And if I put all these things together, I have a unique picture. I don't have, to do much. I think that for me was the biggest revelation. I'm already born. Each one of you who are listening are born unique. So the
Mm.
question is how much of that uniqueness is coming through your action, the things you do, the things you say. But you are born unique. Everyone is born unique. Um, we don't have to become unique.
Yeah.
That for me is we don't have to become unique. Your school is already unique. It's already unique. So you don't have to
Mm.
become unique. You have to discover, okay, what makes your school unique? What is the uniqueness? And is that are you um proudly, wearing that uniqueness and sharing it with the world?
Yeah.
Um, but it's already there.
Yeah. Wonderful. So, I'm going to share a little bit about the program which we are planning to do, and I think that will definitely help all the school leaders to actually find their uniqueness, and find their manifesto. So, is it okay, Fabio? Give me 2 minutes. I'm just going to share my screen.
Please.
So the people who are listening, watching this video, uh, so Fabio is living in Italy. Uh, it's early morning for him right now. And when I went back to him asking, "Can you do a program for school leaders?" He said, "Why not?" And so that's the reason why we designed this program together with Fabio, because uh, as school leader and school owner, we have very less time in uh, in reflecting inward. So that's why we came up with this 5-day workshop. It's going to happen early morning. So on 19th to 23rd of August, Monday to Friday, 5:30 to 6:30, early in the morning. It's going to be live, and there are a lot of schools who are already enrolled in this program. And so a little bit more about what's going to happen. So about this workshop is going to be like a 5-day, more on uh, bringing renewed clarity on your vision of your school, of yourself first of all, and of your school, and understanding what is resisting you. It can be your own. You want to know more, or you want to collaborate with a lot of people, or you feeling difficulty in working with your teachers, or hiring new people, or bringing new initiatives. It can be any resistance. So understanding that resistance, also listening with others, listening to other school owners who already crossed that resistance. Uh, and we'll be sharing leadership strategies which works, and it's been put to work with a lot of organizations, which can also be replicated in schools. Time management, a great uh, problem, which even last episode, one of the school owner was talking about how to manage time. It's so difficult, and so you're going to see more about that and how to build a great teaching the teacher team. So and building a community. Community is basically the members who have enrolled to this program will be having a separate group where we'll be meeting once in every month separately after the workshop, understanding where they are right now, and every principal will work together, work with other principals, and Fabio will be there to support the entire cohort. And thanks to Fabio because this is going to be happening on 5:30 for our time. For him, I think it's 1 o'clock in the morning, early morning, 1 or 2. And
Yeah.
he didn't said no. He said yes, let's do it. So Fabio and I are going to be there, facilitating all the school leaders. And the program fee is 4,999, and for the members who are part of IE Skool Principals Hub, till today, that is 7 p.m. today, we are opening up a discount which is 1,999, that is 2,000 rupees. I know this is like so cheap, and our intention is to at least create the first breed of leaders who transform their school with a finite period of time, like 6 months. Within 6 months, launching new initiatives to transform themselves and also to transform their school. So after the 5-day program, once the plan is ready, there's going to be implementation program going to happen. So our intention is to reach as many schools as possible. So please make use of it. Batch size is very limited. So to get a invite, if you are in our IE Skool Principals Hub, send me a message. I'll be the admin. Send me interested. I'll be sending you a special link. And even here, I'll be sending the link. Uh, Make sure you save that link and register as early as possible. And send me a screenshot once you're registered. And all the registered people will be in a group where you can interact with other school principals. So currently, in schools from Chennai, Hyderabad, Jammu and Kashmir, Haryana, and different states of India have been part of the community for the group for the cohort. And don't miss it because this is more like an action oriented. This is more about uh, what you go specifically for your school. A little bit about this IE Skool. This is our team. In the past 10 years, we went into hands-on learning for children. We work with over 200 plus schools across the country, and these are the things we have designed. From the 2000, uh, this year, 2020, 2024 onwards, we have been building a bigger, larger community for school owners and leaders. Our vision is to at least empower 25,000 school leaders and teachers in India with the right skills, tools, and mindset to unleash themselves, to unleash their school. So currently, the IE Skool Principal Hub is one of the leading learning hub for school principals and managing members. We are in 4 countries. The members are from 4 countries, 28 states, and 118 cities. Currently, I think we crossed this number. It was updated last week. I think we crossed this number right now. So in our community, every week we will do school growth series like this. We'll bring experts like Fabio, and we'll discuss with all the school. We also bring school leaders from different schools who are from CBSE, IGCSE, all these Indian boards, and members who are part of the community will be getting the discounts like this for the workshops. So here you go. I'm going to send the link quickly in the chat. Make sure you're part of it, and we look forward to working with you. So the link is in the chat. Open it and register now, and send me a message in the WhatsApp group. And if you already registered, thank you so much. And if you're watching this video, the link is in the description. It gets over by 7 o'clock today. Thank you so much, Fabio, for allowing me to talk a little bit about it.
Thank you for creating this opportunity.
Because I feel,
I think he's remarkable, you know, that to see uh, leaders of schools to embrace learning. Um, it's so easy sometimes. I mean, at least in Europe, I meet so many leaders who feel like, you know, becoming the leader of something is like it's the end of the journey. You don't have to learn anything anymore because you're already on top. But in particular with schools, leaders who are willing to learn, they send a powerful message, a powerful inspiration to the staff, the teachers, the students, that we never stop learning, and
mm,
um, and that
we feel, I think India, school leaders in India, for sure, they have the learning mindset. And looking at the number of people who are joining our community, is really mind blowing. Like almost every week, 30 to 40 new schools are joining, and even some very less people to be able to attend this workshop. Probably some schools have competitions going on. They have working day, and they might spend time with their family. But a lot of people are asking us recording. Can you send us recording?
no, and
So
I understand, and I admire. You know, it's a role of a big responsibility, really big responsibility. Sometimes it can be um, lonely to be a school leader, to be a leader of anything can be a lonely place to be, because you know in the end, where they say the game stop with you, so you are the one that have to make the
yeah,
tough choices. You are the one who have to protect the school, to find the best balance possible between growing the school, but also keeping the number in place. You have like so many things going on at the same time,
yeah,
and it can be a lonely place to be.
exactly.
Um, One of the reasons we want to do this is also to create, and the reason you are creating this community. I see that's the beauty of also seeing that, you know, you're not alone,
Mm,
and there are a lot of other leaders like you going through the same challenges. And
yeah,
sure, it may be a competition, but in the end,
yeah,
it's more like a huge possibility for cooperation and collaboration.
yeah,
And and school plays such a fundamental role
yeah,
in the building of a nation. So
yeah. So true. So true. Wonderful, Fabio. I think we have crossed 1 hour. Uh,
yes.
so, is there anything you have to cover in the last?
No, I think we what we can do, and one thing we will do in this series of workshop, we're going to go through the element that define uniqueness and help the leaders have clarity about what makes them unique, so they can apply the same process to their school, and they can
Mm,
do them alone or with the team, or we can help them with that. But the whole thing is really to also give them tools and
yeah,
frameworks that they can use with their own school.
yeah,
But the best way to learn something is to experience, to practice it on yourself. That's the kind of approach we will use. Um, we may share some, even some tools, some questions that can be used for that will be used for that purpose. Um, you know, I think there's a quote, there's this famous Chinese quote, something saying like, that there are many ways to learn, and the easiest way is to learn by imitation.
mm,
The wisest way is to learn by reflection. The better way is to learn by experience. So the better way, the experience is probably the best way we have to learn, the
yeah,
deepest and the. So they're going to be we've tried to make this a lot of experiential, so it can then be taken into the reality of the life you have as school leaders.
Yeah, wonderful, Fabio. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Fabio, for going deeper on this topic, because it may look hard, but as you said, it's so easy and simple. And once,
More than all, I mean, really, I mean, if I have one message to that I love to come through is that you are unique.
mm,
You know, you don't have to become unique. You are unique, and your school is unique.
mm,
You don't have to make your school unique. It's unique.
mm,
So it's really a journey of discovering what makes us unique
mm,
as a school.
mm,
There's no other school in the world
mm,
like you, like your school. And it's about your story, your people, your values, your vision. Being aware of all these things is a great starting point. You are unique.
mm,
The responsibility that you have as a leader is to bring this uniqueness, this gift, this unique gift that you are to the world.
mm,
So it's when I say you are unique, at the same time for me it's honoring your
mm,
uniqueness, but it's also challenging you
mm,
as leaders to let that uniqueness shine.
mm. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Fabio, for joining us on
Thank
this
you, Jay,
episode.
and thanks for everyone listening.
Yeah, so definitely it's going to reach a lot of schools by this evening. So looking forward to having you on the workshop, the 5-day workshop. I'm so eager to see this happening, and definitely sure that there's going to be a great ripple effect in India's school education. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Super.
Thank you.
So yeah, wonderful. So all the people who are listening, if you are already part of if you're already part of IE Skool Principals Hub, make sure you watch all the daily posts which we are posting. Uh, so everything is going to be like we always have this point. Will this useful before we post? And only if we feel it's yes, we keep posting every morning. So and every weekend there's going to be a school note series, and there will be a recording. It will reach you. So make sure you are part of it and be active. And also, if you haven't joined the workshop, it's your time. I'll see you in the workshop. Bye bye.